Welcome to episode 174, House versus Field. How everybody's doing? Another episode is here, another Saturday is here. Hope you had a stress-free week as possible. How y'all doing, man? Shout out to Regina, Peace, Love, and Soul Train. Shout out to Honorable Sienna. How y'all doing? A lot to talk about. I'm gonna be honest, this episode gonna be even more political than normal, more geopolitical, should I say, than normal. I'm not really gonna focus on more of as much of the pop culture topics this week. But there's some good stuff, some deeper stuff we're gonna get into a little bit, especially in the second tab when we get to that. But hopefully y'all doing well. I'm doing great. And we can get right into it. Hold on, y'all. Let me just do something right quick. All right. Let's get to it then. Honorable says, Black community seem more political this week as well. Yeah, it's definitely more politics going on. Not as much of what we consider less important things that may be entertaining, but, we're going to get to some of that at least. A lot more politics this weekend. A lot of the geopolitics, we talked about it, obviously, the last couple of years. We talked about the possible wars and World War III and stuff, but it's obviously going a little further now. So we'll see. Let's get to it though. First up, something that isn't as important, but I want to get to. Two sides to this I want to get to. Cynthia Erivo blast a fan-edited Wicked poster as wildest, most offensive thing. I know this is more politics than hip hop. Yeah, I'm not even going to speak on the hip hop awards. That was the most. Good Lord. The fact that the BET Awards is now being done in clubs. Man, the fall of the BET Awards. So I'm not even gonna get into that. It was a disgrace. They didn't even hand out awards. They just they just told you who won and kept it moving. Hey, Kendrick got 8 awards. See, that's just how these people you barely care about perform. It was just the fall of BET Hip Hop Awards. Quick thing, I'm gonna go ahead and say this right quick. Seeing that, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think they do a BET Hip Hop Awards next year. I would not be surprised if in the next year, maybe 2, they completely remove the BET Hip Hop Awards because clearly it's not something they're focused on. They don't care about it. There's no budget for it. They were trying to sell BET for a little while, then they decided not to. Then they decided they are going to sell it. Then it's kind of in limbo. So there's clearly not a budget for it. I think it's over. But anyway. There's this movie Wicked that Cynthia Erivo, the woman who made the comments about old comments about Black Americans. The real thing I want to focus on with this is when I say these actors constantly accept roles that they know there's going to be a base that get upset by it, and then they respond to the backlash and call it racism and such. And it may very well be. But at some point, if every time you do something like this, you get backlash. It seems like you want the backlash because to me, it seems like you enjoy or you accept that there's some form of attention you're gaining. You keep taking these roles that you know is going to piss off certain audiences and then want people to come to your defense. It don't make sense. So let me just show this right here. So shout out to Corntel, bro. He said, Cynthia Erivo, known for stealing roles from Black Americans to portray historic Black Americans, is learning that those white masses don't like her face. Our poster is a homage to, not an imitation, to edit my face and hide my eyes, to erase me. That's just deeply hurtful. So I want to show exactly what she said. She said, this is the wildest, most offensive thing I've ever seen, equal to that awful AI of us fighting, equal to people posing the question, is your green? None of this is funny. None of this is cute. It degrades me. It degrades us. The original poster is illustration. I am the real life human being who chose to look right down to the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer, because without words, we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is a homage, not an imitation, to edit my face and hide my eyes, is to erase me, and that is deeply hurtful. So what I'm getting at is, there's a such thing as outrage culture and rage baiting, where a content creator or an artist or whatever would do something to purposely anger the audience to get attention and backlash to push something even further. I don't think their job is to sell movies anymore at all. You see these movies like this, and I'm not saying this will or won't do well, but anytime somebody is casted for a role that gets a lot of backlash, the movie don't do well, and then there's this talk or this discussion around why people don't accept certain people playing certain roles. Clearly, the job of y'all is not to entertain people anymore. It is to anger people to cause a certain agenda to be pushed. Now, to the white people who are mad about this, they don't like these black people being playing in roles that have been historically white. It's whatever. But there's also, to me, and we're going to get to some of this later, there's also another agenda where, like I said, the job isn't to sell movies anymore. It is to push anger or create backlash. Because all these movies flop for the most part. So you're wasting your time even doing them. What's the point of it? Virginia says, I have no empathy for her experience. After all, she can't relate to the black experience. Next. So I just wanted to say, and you know, we got Otis Redding being played by, what's his name? John Boyega. You got a couple of these historic roles that these movies more than likely won't do well. And then that's an excuse for these big wigs in Hollywood to not put money in these other black American films because, see, these movies don't do well. It's like they're creating a problem. They're creating a problem to later diagnose it and say, oh, the reason why it's not selling is because of this other reason they're going to create later on, rather than the one they've been trying to use the last 60, 70 years. But we'll see. Anyway, we'll run through these next couple of stories. Boxer Floyd Mayweather to buy $402 million of NYC apartments. I'm going to give this a applause. Even though this can go real left, and what a lot of people assume he's going to do with this, because Mayweather is purchasing an affordable housing portfolio. Deal entails more than 60 buildings, many in Upper Manhattan. Now, when I saw this, the first thing I thought of was Floyd Mayweather in Israel, taking all those pictures, donating all the money, and doing all the positive press for the Israel military force, the IDF. And I thought, I wonder if he was doing that for a play to do something like this. And also, because Floyd is all about Floyd and making money, a lot of people assume that when he did this, that he's going to fill these affordable housing buildings with a bunch of migrants so he can get extra money and stuff. So people assume this ain't the good thing that it seemed like it could be, because unfortunately it is Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd is all about me. So it is what it is. Hold on, y'all. All right. Next quick story before we get into the geopolitical stuff. I want to ask y'all a question about this too. And this is something I've spoken on before when it comes to the people we hold in high regard in our community, or at least we show certain levels of respect I don't think should be shown, and we kind of ignore the crimes and the destruction certain people caused in order to acknowledge their quote-unquote success. LeBron James, Rick Ross, Sexy Red, and more react to BMF founder Big Meech getting out of prison. Demetrius Edward Big Meech Flinoy Sr. has a projected release date of January 27, 2026. He's in a halfway house now. I think he was to do that for a year or whatever, and then he's going to be on probation for another 5. Mr. Man says Floyd bought those apartments for freak-off parties. Floyd, everything Floyd do is for Floyd, so whatever it is going to benefit him. And congratulations to him on his own success. Now, when LeBron tweeted his congratulations to Big Meech for being released, it led to people reacting to that by saying, oh, so now we're celebrating dudes that helped destroy the community with drugs. Now, that's my thinking all the time, but I was shocked that became such a big talking point in this situation, because most of the time people don't care. But it might just been because people's dislike of LeBron and they just turn it into just like a Meech. I don't know. But I want to ask y'all, and I said the same thing when it came to Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, the drug dealer, how he was going around doing all these interviews and talking about how much money he made and how he's trying to do something to help the youth now. And I said, well, should a person who did those things to his community, really set it off on the black community, help lead to a lot of the destruction, should they even be allowed to walk around in public, let alone do podcasts and possibly benefit from it financially? I said the same thing for Big Meech. He's going to get out. He's going to do interviews. He's going to move around and moving and shaking. And people are going to ignore the amount of lives he affected with his drug trade. And we're not even going to consider the other stuff, the alleged murders and stuff he did. Mystery Man says, people only care because of the BMF show. They probably got a big part of it too. Although I don't know if the BMF show paints them in a negative or positive light. It kind of just make them seem like they were just people struggling, poor, and trying to find a way. And they said, forget morals, I'm going to get mines. And the only person with any level of morality in the show was the father. Well, I won't say the only person. The mother has some morality too, but at some point, everybody kind of folds and becomes less moral. Everybody does something to make them tainted in the show. They try to make them more human, but what it did was make it where it justified the sons for doing what they were doing, which is what all these shows do. Snowfall did the same thing. The only righteous person in the show was the father and the police officer next door, and they made both of them bad people somehow. They ended up killing both of them, honestly. So it kind of shows that there's a certain message sent to the black community that these are the things you should uphold and justify. So it is what it is. And then I want to show this right here. Let me show this right quick. Speaking of crazy stuff.
Jackson grew up. I mean, watch Quincy Jones' daughters grow up. Fast forward years later, Tupac is dating one of the daughters. I think it was Khadijah.
Yeah.
Khadijah. They came out of, Tupac comes out the party, disrespecting Khadijah, like, shut up, come on, shut the fuck up and get in the car. Mike stepped to him, yo, you can't talk to her like that. He was like, Mike, mind your fucking business. Mike was like, fuck no, that's like my niece. You ain't gonna just talk to her like that. Michael Jackson, fucking Tupac start rumbling. Michael Jackson beat his ass.
Shout out to the Untold interview. Do y'all think Michael Jackson beat Tupac ass for real? You think he was just doing what black people do and we just overdo the story? I will say this, Michael Jackson wasn't the person that he painted to be in public. We've heard Charlie and Eddie Murphy talk about it, a few other people, how he was a regular dude who in public was soft-spoken, but Michael Jackson was from Gary, Indiana. And I'm pretty sure y'all all seen the picture of Mike throwing up the sea, and he got the song Blue Love or something on his album, saying that he was GD or Crip or whatever. I don't know. Regina says, every girl crazy about a sharp-dressed man, ZZ Top, dude's attire is on point. Regina says, I think MJ was one of those dudes who people probably slept on. I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think he might have been embellishing a bit. Matter of fact, I got this video here of this guy who apparently was there, and he went into a little more detail on what happened between Mike and Tupac, if you believe this is actually a real story and not just something to be funny.
Sitting on Mike's lap, whatever. Pac come in, nigga, big sight on my nigga. What's up? Mike, Pac, look, like, you just sitting on this nigga lap. And Mike do this. Mike got it like this. Mike, look. And so Pac come. The niggas kind of like Pac when we grab Kadada. And so now you got Mike and Kadada. Well, Mike got this arm, Pac got this arm. So it's kind of like a little, you know, some little pandemonium going on.
Yeah.
So we watching, so nigga, Pac move Kadada out the way, Mike step in, whoa. Pac swing, Mike dip it, swing back.
Vital parts of the story.
Well, listen, we
explain that.
I'm explaining to you, nigga. Mike, you can't listen. They got Kadada like this, nigga. They got Kadada like this. We talk like that, nigga. You from
I know.
Whoa, not Bobby Womack, nigga. Go ahead.
So they got it.
So
like
Pac
this.
pulling this way and
Mike pulling that way. So
Yeah.
it was a misunderstanding. They move her out the way and they whoa, they join.
so they
closer.
talking shit.
They join. Pac like, whoa, Mike ain't having it. Mike like, nigga, what? Whoa. So, you know, Pac gonna take off. Pac gonna bomb first, nigga. So Pac swing.
Did Mike bang folk on Pac?
Man, we was over by the DJ thing. We was coming over, man. We watching shit, so we coming to break it up. And so Mike, nigga, Pac gonna swing. Pac ain't gonna do too much talking. He gonna say something. He swinging first. He gonna bomb. He bombed first. So that nigga swung. Mike dipped it. And Whoop gave him one, but then Pac gave him that little thing with the knee. He ain't like this, and we just went to the ground, and we broke it up. And then Pac got a little grass, and, it was a little...
So that's the story, apparently. He said, Mr. Man says, Eddie Griffin said Michael wasn't no joke. Wouldn't be surprised if he was being misunderstood by the public, man. Remember that episode in Martin when he had Mike on there? Well, not actual Michael Jackson, but the guy dressed like Michael Jackson. He got his ass whipped by Michael Jackson and Martin, so maybe Martin knew too. All right, next story. I thought it was just funny. Michael Jackson beating up Tupac is crazy. All right, now I want to show this. Bath and Body Works apologizes for a candle that shoppers say resemble a KKK hood. Now I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Are people being too sensitive with this situation right here? Are we just seeing something that maybe not there? The sort of thing that could easily be prevented by hiring a so-called DEI candidate. So this is somebody trying to get a job. Hey, do you? I understand. So this is, I ain't even got to read all. This is what they put out. This is what caused the hoopla. They say that this candle, the design looked like KKK hoodies. This is one of those instances where I feel like crying wolf. This is crying wolf to me. Like, really? This is what y'all are trying. Now, I don't know how much actual backlash came from this. This could be what I was talking about earlier with rage baiting and trying to create controversy through headlines or whatever. But if this is even a real thing that people are angry about right now, come on, bro. This is where the sensitivity things get talked about. Anonymous says our sensitivity needs to be on Jew. This doubt is causing confusion. Yeah, but unfortunately, this became a thing. I don't think it should be a thing. It reminds me a lot of the story from a few years ago with the website that put the little black little boy or the little African little boy in a hoodie called King of the this monkey is the King of the Jungle, or this monkey something. And black people had all this backlash for it, and the parents came out and defended it and said, mind your business. So this is one of those things. Or the clothing line that put out the face covering mask that looked like blackface. That was all marketing. That was just to create controversy, get you drawn, talking about it, so that we could sell something else. So this is whatever to me. Silicon Valley company claims to have enabled communication during lucid dreams, but we have questions. So now you can talk to people, your loved one or whatever. Now they saying they can find a way to get you to talk through your sleep. Richmond says, I would buy the Kindle instead of going to Patreon. All right, Mr. Man. Anonymous says, I think it should be. I thought it was a KKK when I saw it. Glad enough of us were on code. Well, if you consider that an on-code situation where anything that resembles the terrible history of the Black Americans, where you just want to all erased and just reprimanded immediately, I guess I get it. But I said right now, I don't know if that's something that I would make raising hell about. A candle that got a design on it that looks a certain way. Regina says, I didn't research further, but wondered what the hullabaloo was about. Looks similar to Ghost, but now I can see the possible KKK reference. Yeah, you can see it when you acknowledge it, but do I believe that they now once again, there's two sides of this. Do I believe they purposely made it look like KKK hoods if they wanted to market it? Like I said, the whole rage baiting thing, but man, come on. I just don't think that's something that was as high on the list that needed to be pointed out. But people pointed it out, so it is what it is. Honorable says, Jew is the bar. If fear of people acknowledging your wealth is a thing, I'm crying about everything that triggers me. That's a good point. I can't even argue. That's a good point. I will say, like I said earlier, that is kind of dying off with them as well. Whenever they cry wolf and call anti-whatever, you're starting to see people dismiss it. Like, whatever, man, I don't care. And I will say a person that's done a big part of that indifference towards being called anti them is Kanye West. Because Kanye West came out and said certain things and he's such a lightning rod for controversy and attention, a lot of people, and they called him that, a lot of people are starting to become indifferent to the crying of the wolf. Like, whatever, man, we don't care. It ain't that big a deal. Nobody got hurt. Nobody's actually going out harming you. Who cares? So you got to be careful when you point stuff out like this constantly. But, I get your point. Lucid dreams are possible now. This is not really new. I keep bringing up that these intelligence agencies pointed out years ago that they found a way to teleport their spirit to other places. They found a way to not hypnotize people, but to control people, mind control. This is the intelligence agency of the United States. Released this in the 80s. It was declassified a few years ago. They acknowledged all this stuff. The Eastern religions like Hinduism and Buddhism and all the other stuff, and how some of that astral projection and all that stuff is real. So it's surprising that they're coming out saying that they can now make people talk in their dreams when they've acknowledged way more, mystic stuff. Empress says, I'm 59 and find that racism card wearing off on me. Mainly because, one, it ain't gonna stop. Two, niggas ain't gonna do shit to correct it, but cry, complain, march, rinse, wash. And that's what I'm saying. If you ready to pop it off and really get on code, okay, but if we just gonna argue to this company, call them racist and how it's being insensitive, and all they're gonna do is just remove the design and hire somebody black for the company to give one person a job and say, hey, we're doing things to better understand. And what's the point? What's the point? But yeah. Let me move on. Honorable says, crying and complaining seems to be the way to go. It worked for the agents. Did it? Because they did all that to go against us with the college situation, and now they're getting accepted less. So did it really work, or were they used as pawns? Does crying benefit the group that is supposedly hurting, or does it benefit the other group that got you crying? Is a battery being put in your back for another motive, or what? But yeah. Another quick story we're going to jump through. Haiti condemns Dominican Republic's plan to deport 10,000 migrants weekly. The United Nations has asked countries in the region to halt deportations of Haitians home to a dangerous situations. Asians got set up, extremely set up. Like it's bad for them. I can only imagine how the college numbers gonna look in like 5 years at these high level institutions. I can only imagine how it's gonna look in just 5 years. And y'all see the Penn State and a few other colleges just got exposed for charging certain students with divorced parents more money to come to giving them less aid than students who have both parents. So then they end up paying more money, obviously, and having to pay out less and give out less help. So I can only imagine how this is going to look in 5 years. I remember like 10 years ago, I heard somebody say that colleges won't exist by 2040. The college system will completely be done and gone. And honestly, I can see that happening. Let me show. Let me show this.
I don't understand. Even people that come from their own country do it. Why? You were an immigrant. We are all period.
Said we all immigrants.
We were in a situation once, the same situation they are. Why are you doing this?
Any questions? Just a point of clarification, Black Americans aren't immigrants.
It's funny, the second she said that, you could hear a needle drop on the floor. It was crazy.
Point of clarification, respectfully.
Yes. No, absolutely. Agreed. Yep. And she was saying that Black Americans are not immigrants, and that is a fact. That is true.
Yes.
Okay, so...
Regimes all lives matter. Yeah, that was crazy. The fact that the reaction to that was kind of funny. Her just saying that in that room made them have a cause to pause. It was funny to me. Then I want to show this, speaking of the immigrants.
Jason Hill is a philosophy professor at DePaul University, joining us this morning.
Exactly,
She's
Regina.
part of our
She had to.
series looking at Black History Month. Professor Hill, you wrote a book, What Do White Americans Owe Black People? How did you answer that question?
My argument is that reparations, by and large, have already been made to Black Americans through the 1964 Civil Rights Act and through affirmative action.
Keep in mind, this type of stuff don't anger me because I know it's an attempt to come up. One of the easiest ways, the pipeline to get into the white political commentary side of things and get invited to these political invited on these political pundit shows and all this stuff is to say something disparaging or dismiss reparations or black people, and you'll get it's a free ticket to the top. So I already know what his play is. And he might already be there, and he just re-emphasizing it.
And programs through cultural reparations, I argue, have been made through Black Studies programs and basically, you know, the 1972 Employment Act, and that a free society can really go no further in making restitution to a group of people who might have been suffering from the residual effects of slavery.
Are those financial reparations?
No, because there are no slaves still alive today. There can be no, on my reasoning, going by the logic of the Civil Liberties Act of 1988, there can be no direct financial compensation.
Antoinette and Phil.
Well, Mark Gordon sent me this video. Shout out to Mark Gordon. And it's no real response to this because we've seen these people from other countries come here and say this constantly. They're given a platform to say this because this is what white America wants to say. So they like it when someone that looks like that say it. And I'm be honest, the dude look kind of Indian to me, but I'm gonna leave it at that. So that's not really a surprise that they're coming over here saying stuff like that. That's the norm at this point. Trying to get in where they fit in, man. Now let's get to this, the part that I really want to get to. Hold on. Where then it says all skinfo and kinfo, and it's like you said, Stated Duke, his commentary is moving on up to white slavery. Yeah, that's all it is. When you realize people's reasoning for doing stuff, you get less angry and you start to just move accordingly. Whenever you start some panel or organization, you have to vet people. Like we see what's going on in New York with all these task force and all this other stuff and all these other states. You have to vet people. What up, Mark? You have to vet people to make sure when you put them in certain positions, they won't be acting against you. You know, but you know, that's why the whole immigration system in 10 years won't be the same, and it won't be necessarily easy to get in the country. I think it's going to be more shifting on who's allowed in the country first. So we'll see how that benefits or hurts anybody. All right, this is the geopolitical part. North Korea Special Forces and Russia readying for combat in Ukraine war, South Korea says. So how many countries are we talking about now that's preparing for a possible war the last 2 years? All right, chill out, mystery man. Mark said, what's up, mystery? All right, so we got Korea and South Korea, Iran, Israel, Ukraine, Russia, China, Japan, all of Europe for the most part, other than like Belarus and all those other places like that. We got a few countries in South America that's, you know, kicking up dust a little bit against America, which is a part of this. Canada, it seems almost like, 70+% of the, well, I won't say 70. Most of the West and at least 40-50% of the East is in contention for what they believe will be the new throne for who runs the world, who's the new superpower. So we know Korea, South and North Korea have been beefing for a while, so that's not surprising, but this right here, South Korea intelligence says North has sent troops to aid Russia's war in Ukraine. And we know for a fact right now that America has put troops, has put feet on the ground in Israel, but we know they've been there for at least a year, same with Ukraine. So there are now boots on the ground in these foreign countries. Then we have U.S. officials expect Israel's counterattack on Iran will come before U.S. election. You know why they want that to happen. Netanyahu wants to make sure this kickoff while he has someone in office that will go along with the war. Although I feel like Trump probably will go along with it as well. Obviously, Kamala Harris. But then there was a threat. Iran says, don't do it. This wouldn't benefit you to do that. But we're going to get to that threat that Iran put out and why there's a lot of spiritual things tied to that. Richmond says North Korea shut down all roads to South Korea last week. Yeah, that's why I still look at that case from last year, Travis King, the American soldier who ran into North Korea for quote unquote protect. He ended up getting sentenced for, for abandoning the military and all that stuff. But I still think there's something still strange about him. That it just don't make sense. You get into a fight with locals and you run to North Korea. They don't make sense. In a clash with Netanyahu, Macron says Israel PM mustn't forget his country created by a UN decision. Now, he's talking about the Balfour Declaration, which was signed off by a, what's their name? Rothschild. So the Rothschilds are pretty much, it's out and open. They're the creators of the Israeli state. But Macron used to work for the Rothschilds. See, Emmanuel Macron's Rothschild years make him an easy election target. This was from a few years ago during his run for his French campaign. So I wonder, with all the stuff going on, with all the videos of the deaths, and let me say this, Israel is knocking off Hamas left and right. Every damn day, a new one of their quote-unquote leaders getting killed. So they ain't looking too good. But I'm wondering, what would be the purpose for Macron, one of the leaders in Europe, to be going against Israel? It don't make sense, considering he used to work for the Rothschilds, and the Rothschilds are the ones who helped establish Israel. So I'm wondering if there's an internal war going on amongst that tribe that exists, where Netanyahu is at political war with other people in his quote-unquote tribe. And they're trying to take him out. Shout out to him. The man was supposed to be gone out of office years ago. He's supposed to be in prison by now, but he scratched and clawed his way back into position of power. And good Lord, they can't get rid of him. I'm not going to use the term they usually use for people like that, because that would be considered a slur against them. So I can't say it. But it's a term they use against people who are hard to get rid of. Richmond says Iran said they kill every single Jew in Israel. Yeah, they talking big, and they've been talking big for a while, which reminded me of Netanyahu since the 90s, has been claiming that Iran is this close. They're this many days away. They're this many months away from having a nuclear weapon. And we haven't seen any actual proof of a nuclear weapon. So let me show this. This is the proof that Walter Rothschild in the Balfour Declaration, this is the people who, he was the British government expressed its sympathy for the Jewish Zionist aspirations and announced that it would be the best endeavors to facilitate the establishment of Palestine and national home for the Jewish people, yada, yada, yada. That's what I just said, pretty much. Gallant, who is I guess you would call him like the defense minister or something like that, he came out and said that Macron is a disgrace. Then I want to show this right here. This is where it's going to get weird. Iran has a big surprise and is waiting for 0 hour, warned senior IRGC officer. Just listen to this, y'all. A senior Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps officer has confirmed his country's readiness to strike Israel's nuclear reactor and warned that Tehran has a surprise that is more significant than nuclear weapons in terms of its importance. Now listen to this. A few years ago, a man named V.S. Marlowe wrote a novel called The Last Messiah. Now, a lot of people say this book was bullshit. It was the guy who was just talking out of his ass. He said that he was affiliated with the government. So they say he was just talking out of his ass, though. It's not real. Don't pay attention to this book, yada, yada, yada. But in this book, he talked about a artifact that Iran has that can lead to a weapon, stay with me, stronger than a nuclear bomb. Undercover sources say thousands of readers and experts from Iran, Israel, and U.S. and other nations are frantically searching for an ancient $1 billion treasure hidden in The Last Messiah by V.S. Marlowe and its connection to the Middle East war threats and turmoil. But as of today, the treasure is still up for grabs. The Last Messiah's treasure is an actual 3,000-year-old solid ruby Persian artifact once held by Cyrus, Xerxes, Alexander the Great, and Genghis Khan. It has been sought not only for its gem of historic value, but also for the key to a futuristic energy source that could create the ultimate weapon of mass destruction. So all the people that was going around conquering at one point were in possession of this artifact. This ruby allegedly can be used. Now listen, this is going off the rails. You don't got to believe it. Apparently this ruby can be used along with lasers to create fusion energy. Because that's something that people have been trying to use in order to get infinite energy. So now look at this. Or just pay attention to what this guy says. He said, Iran, this is 2011. This is the first time they warned Israel about having some super weapon. It says, Iran dares Israel to attack because the retaliation would send the Jewish state into a dustbin of history, a senior Revolutionary Guard commander said, according to the Fars news agency Monday. Our greatest wish is that they commit such a mistake. The chief of the Guards division was quoted by saying, for some time there has been a hidden energy we hope to expand to co-sign the enemies of Islam forever to the dustbin of history. I'm not saying this is real, but for at least the last 13 years, they've been telling us, we got something for your ass. Now, this is probably not real. I don't know. Michigan says Thanos gauntlet. What up, brilliant? So they got Infinity Stones. Hey, remember, art imitates life. What was that movie really about? Who is Thanos really? I'm pretty sure y'all have seen breakdowns of that movie from more of an esoteric belief and that believes that Xanos or Thanos represents God. But anyway, that's a whole nother point. The Green Man or whatever. But that's a whole nother point. Now I'm going to show this right here. This is what Israel considers greater Israel. This is what they said that the God of the Bible, they don't even follow the Bible, they follow the, whatchamacallit. This is what they said their God promoted to them. This is the actual border they're supposed to have. Now, the reason why they can't get this allegedly is because Iran has this weapon. Now, as much as Israel has threatened Iran, they never harmed anyone on Iranian soil, out loud at least. They did kill Soleimani a few years ago, their general, but he was in Iraq or Afghanistan, one of those. They didn't kill him on Iranian soil. So this reminded me. I'm sorry. Regina says, sounds like Marvel movies, indoor Hollywood fantasies for sure. Exactly. Now this was an intelligence agent, an alleged intelligence agent who said this because he might have been creating stories to just put fodder into the streets to have us, other people just running for something that don't exist. I don't know. But there's also an historical artifact. If you believe this is myth or historical fact, it's just up to your belief. The alleged spear that stabbed Christ. Allegedly, that spear has been in the hands of many leaders of the world, and that has led to them having ability to conquer and all this other stuff. That's another one. Allegedly, the America called a Holy Lance is what it's called. It's right here. The spear that pierced Christ. Allegedly, that spear at one point was in control by Germany, and when America helped Russia and all them take down Germany, America became in control of this spear. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's true. So there's some spiritual wars going on that aren't getting talked about enough, I feel like. And this may be more than what we think it is. Allegedly, that's part of the reason why Israel has been dying to go to war with Iran through America, obviously, so that they can get access to this alleged ancient artifact. So, yeah. Brain says all these biblical esoteric wars are just silly. Well, they exist. When you look at all the pillaging they did with the Christians and Europe and all the other stuff, regardless if you think it's real or not, they won. They went around and conquered and took over lands. So whether you believe it's through their technical ability and their weapons or through some higher power, it did happen. So it is what it is. Speaking of esoteric stuff, part of the Iranian belief also, there's a sect of Islam called Sufism. Now, Sufism is more towards the esoteric mysticism, spiritual ritualistic side. Talmud, yeah, Gordon, that's it. That's the Israeli, what they follow, the Talmud. So the sophists believe in the more esoteric things about Islam. As a matter of fact, the first religion in Iran before what's their name? Islam came, was called Zoroastrianism, I think it's called, something like that. It was a monotheistic religion, one guy religion. And they were more, what they consider the Mayans when they say they were killing people and eating their hearts and all that other stuff. That's what those people are doing. Same as the ones they were doing in Europe with the Celts and all the other stuff, the ritualistic stuff. And same as they're going to Eastern religions like Hinduism and Buddhism and stuff. So all this stuff is, when you start looking into this stuff, it's very weird. And it's more than what we think it is. These people at the top of the list, these politicians, these presidents and prime ministers, they're not as secular as people think. They're very spiritual. Timmy says at one time the same was said about another spiritual artifact. I just can't remember what it was. It's a plenty of them. Let's say the Holy Lance. You have the ruby in Afghanistan. I remember when I learned that in Baghdad, allegedly they found a battery. You can look this up. I think y'all probably already know this. I think it was in Baghdad. They found an artifact that resembled a battery. The minerals that was inside of it and how it was built, they thought it was a battery. And this was thousands of years old. Same thing with the pyramids in Egypt. That this wasn't just pyramids, that this was, some people believe that that's what the pyramids were, what they call power stations or whatever. Breen says the crystal skull. Yeah, it's a lot of these artifacts that exist that have spiritual significance that gets passed off as just, lore and myth or whatever. So speaking of the Israelis, I'm gonna get back to them right quick. We know that they believe in that Talmud. They believe that's the mysticism, Jewish mysticism. They believe in, abortion and just some of the sexual acts they are supportive of is a little different. The age of sexual relations between genders is a little different, but also their view on porn. Now, I'm pretty sure if y'all have paid attention to any topics on porn as far as the business, y'all know that a lot of the people who run the industry are of that demographic. So I want to play this clip of one of the rabbi talking about how they found a way to make the West or America support porn more or accept porn and normalize it.
What businesses you guys could buy? Why did you guys target buying Pornhub?
Yeah, so we saw an extraordinary opportunity. The fact that it's newsworthy or noteworthy that we've made the acquisition, that should tell you that this is a space that has not had mainstream investment, right? That it's a space, I always said, when we looked at the business, it's a business that's legal. Not only is it legal, but in every Western democracy, it's constitutionally protected. It could not be outlawed, even if you wanted to, but it doesn't have that legitimacy. And one of the reasons for that, and as we started to examine the business further, was that nobody wanted to say we are the owners of a major adult company, right? Everyone, they wanted the benefits of owning a major adult company. It's a profitable business, but nobody wanted to be out front and engaging with other tech businesses, with government, with law enforcement, with regulation in that sort of way that the modern tech industry has to. So we saw in that this arbitrage opportunity, right? Where if people who come from the mainstream professional networks, whether it's law enforcement, tech, finance, et cetera, this is an opportunity to really bring this industry into the 21st century. We saw an extraordinary opportunity to do that with this, this jewel of an asset, Pornhub, but obviously with the entire company.
I love it.
Now, keep in mind, whenever you talk to these people from this demographic about anything moral, they're very, as a matter of fact, about a lot of things that we consider morally objective or wrong. And the reason why that is in their religion or culture and the book that they believe is from a God that is their God only, they are told that it's okay to lie, cheat, and steal from Goyim. So the reason why they can come to a country, push pornography, control your music industry, and push violence, death, is because them doing that to you, to the God that they think is righteous, is okay. And let me say this, the one, and I know y'all might have different beliefs from me, so I'm not saying y'all have to agree with me. The one that, the God of the Bible and the God and their Talmud are not the same. That's not the same. So when one says that in a righteous way. It's not the same as their guy saying it from a devious way. It's not the same. It's not the same one. But the reason why they don't care what they push on you and your kids is because it ain't their kids. So we can lie, cheat, steal from you, and that's okay. We just can't do it to each other. Which is why no matter how much they beef with each other, they still do business together to make money. Mr. Man says Gucci Thriller gave herpes to a loved one. Oh man, I saw that story, bruh. Timeline. What do you think about it? And I'm glad you brought it up because it goes into this topic right here with this rabbi dude who controls a porn hub. What do we think about society now where you have 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds, where the second they hit 18, 19, they're starting OnlyFans pages? Well, they're not even giving themselves a chance at a different life. The second they hit quote unquote adulthood, legality, they immediately run to do porn. The girl he allegedly gave this disease to was 19 years old. Like, what's going on? I remember a couple years ago when people were making a joke about the OnlyFans girls and how a lot of these women are gonna have kids and sons and they're gonna get bullied in school because dudes gonna be able to go online and find your mama doing all kind of crazy stuff. And how a lot of people are not looking 10 years in the future, because obviously porn has always been around, but there was a time when it was like a separate group from normal civilized society. They were separate. They were underground. Now it's so mainstream now. If you see a woman on social media who look good, if you click her profile, just to click her profile, you're gonna see a link. You're gonna see a link. So it's just extreme now where any woman that wants a quick buck, and it definitely had a boom. There was a boom during the pandemic where a lot of people were out of work, they were struggling, they were looking for ways to get some quick money, and a lot of women unfortunately turned to OnlyFans. Some of them lasted for a week and stopped. Some of them went on for a couple months or whatever, and it's crazy, man, how society is just pushing that mainstream. Regina says, I can't think of a name, but there's an interesting doc about the straight couple who bought a bookstore in California. Turns out it was actually a gay porn blockbuster type biz. They were Jews too, exactly. What up, Kiva? Brady says porn and online gaming are the two leading business and privatized. He's talking from a legal perspective, correct? You are consuming, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like they talk about it as a matter of fact way because they look at it as numbers, crunching, like money. Consumers versus creators. Like it's not a moral discussion with people like this, so it is what it is. He says, man, oh man. Yeah. Mark Gordon says people don't fully develop mentally until they're around 25. Well, that's what they say. But I've seen people at 15 make better decisions than people at 30. So I think development is maybe person by person as far as decision making and stuff, but I don't know. The law of the land is what it is, and it is what it is. Arnold says, not just women, a lot of couples too. Oh yeah, I don't mean to just say it's women. I should have said people, because there's a lot of dudes that started doing it. What they call that, a gay for pay? A lot of dudes started doing some freak stuff online. I don't mean to be, started doing freak stuff online for quick buck. It was crazy. Couples started doing it. And that's kind of strange though, right? You start doing that type of stuff with your girlfriend or wife, and then y'all are divorced, and now one of y'all gonna keep doing it. It's Keeper says men don't develop until 30 or later. Hey, I've heard there are a lot of people out there, right, with very strong opinions about things. Some of them can be seen as hurtful or hateful beliefs. But I've seen even worse from what some people say about women. I've seen dudes say you shouldn't expect maturity from women until 45. I'm not saying I believe that. Please don't attack me. So when you say 30, I've heard people say you shouldn't expect anything mature from a person until they're 40. So Honorable says 30 is too late to be developing. Virginia says the doc is called Circus of Books, and they ran that biz for 33 years. Good job, Regina. 33. The numerology be everywhere, and that's part of their teaching too. That the Talmud, these people, that numerology stuff is real big with them too. Matter of fact, I think they said that's how what's her name? Tom Brady's ex-wife, how she would do these rituals and predict his every season before the season. She would predict whether or not he's gonna win a ring or not based off of some numbers or some other ritualistic stuff. So, yeah, Regina said maturing is subjective, like many things. Exactly. and it's not just case by case. It's situation to situation. A person can make a great decision here, and in another situation that's a little bit different context, they make a terrible decision. So it is what it is.
You said jewel of an asset. So I'm going to give you some stats here that we see. So one, it says 2018 Pornhub alone witnessed a jaw drop in 5.8 billion hours.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant I think that was what's called. He mentioned that gaming and porn are the biggest growing industries, and that's why they're mixing them. If you're a person who follow any type of video game or anything like that, you'll notice you're starting to see more of these OnlyFans girls act like they're into a genre of where it's anime, video games, anything like that. These women are now dressing as characters from those shows or games. So they're mixing the two industries. You look at Twitch, a platform for those dudes to stream while they playing video games and stuff. You go in there now, that was in 2013, 12, whatever. You go in there now, you got girls half naked in jacuzzis. You got girls with their cleavage out, women with their cleavage out. They're mixing the porn in the video game because it kind of stereotypically, obviously, goes together. A dude who is very into video games and stuff, and women who are porn stars. That seems like that would be just a match made in heaven. Richmond says white mom fathered a black man in Florida, Sarasota, Florida. Oh, really? I saw a story that I just didn't get to, a story of a black, I think it was deaf black man was beaten by cops. But Brittany said, let's be honest, these Negroes just slow nowadays. Yeah, it's a lot of scamming too. I've seen dudes and women steal some woman's profile pictures and some of her pictures, start another page on one of these other platforms and lie and act like they're that girl. And now dudes getting scammed that way. It's crazy. I like Valuetainment Podcast. Well, he definitely goes in and out of the topics he's into, because this wasn't the type of stuff he was talking about a few years ago. He was more into politics, but yeah. Honorable says, this dude makes me sick. Two different opinions. Mark Gordon says, true. Tom Brady said his ex-wife was a witch while getting his haircut, and she told him they would win or lose. Yep. There's a video of it. Keep saying it's pretty diverse podcast. I just hate when Kumo is on. He seems to try and keep a level head in the convo. I don't know if there's a lot of disposable income there. Yeah. A lot of those dudes are into tech, or if they have a large platform on Twitch and stuff, they make good money. So yeah, they're trying to drain them dry. That's why they all moving to Texas, because that's where the tech field went for went a couple years ago. So Bree says more girl gamers than ever. Exactly. And I try not to be one of those dudes that try and, say there's an ulterior motive for them there being more, but it's kind of obvious what goes hand in hand with that. OnlyFans girls are in the Call of Duty global chat rooms now, moaning in your ear. What they doing? I don't know, since I found him using the mob to build his channel. Yeah, that's how I found him a few years ago. He was interviewing mobsters. Then he went into politics. Now he's into just general discussion, just pop culture topics, I guess. Which is, a podcast, you probably should do something like that.
Of content consumption, which, by the way, is kind of strange because most men should only be watching for a minute or two, right? But this is like when you hear 5.8 billion
No,
hours.
Patrick, our average visit is about 10 and a half minutes.
They probably got off the computer and they left the website on, but there's a different story there. So that's nearly 665 centuries of material over a single platform in just 1 year. Here's another one for you. The world was flocking to Pornhub in 2018 with a whopping 63,992 new visitors per minute. Is that true? 63,992 new visitors per month.
Doesn't sound unreasonable.
33.5 billion visitors. Insane, right? Mm-hmm. And the most popular day to visit.
All right, we don't got to see all that. We get porn is popular. We get that part. But I wonder, I know back in the day, it wasn't porn wasn't as accessible. You had to actually go out and purchase stuff. Now you have it just a website for free at the tip of your finger on your phone, on your laptop, your iPad, whatever. So that probably has a lot to do with the extreme increase. Margo said that Caribbean live chat guy you talked about in the past is in the NBA 2K24 video game commercial. The guy who said you're just black and we have no culture. Oh, you talking about Casanat? Yeah. Those dudes are very, very faint. Well, amongst their audience, they're very, very popular. Brayden says they never give the demographics, which they do have. Oh yeah, men, women, race breakdown. I know yearly they typically release that graph of the most searched genre in each state, and it's always very strange. I'm says Pornhub is trash now. The stuff happening in Houston is crazy. Something happens to that site, and it was a bad decision. Yeah, didn't they do something where you have to sign in with your ID or something in order to use it in certain states? All right. Now earlier I was talking about the potential of a World War III with all these countries getting involved and back and forths and all that other stuff. But there's also a threat of a civil war. Now there's a thing called there's a book written about the fourth I think it's called a fourth turn. Hold on, let me see something. Yeah. About the fourth turning, where they say that there's cycles to war and other tragedy, where there's financial crashes and wars that break out, civil wars, where there's a cycle to how the world works and society works. So there was a derivative recently, effective September 27, 2024, that I want to show right quick. Hold on. This directive, I'm sorry. Let me show this. I'm saying bring the do give the demographics. This is an annual breakdown. Yeah, I just talked about that. Section 3, Defense Intelligence Component Assistance to Law Enforcement Agencies and Other Civil Authorities. All right, so let me go down to 3.3. Look at this. This is a directive. Defense intelligence components may provide Hold on. All right, we should be good now. We should be good. Defense intelligence components may provide personnel to assist a federal department or agency, including a federal law enforcement agency or a state or local law enforcement agency when lives are in danger, in response to a request to such assistance in accordance with the following approval authorities. So let me drop down to right here. Assistance in responding to assets with potential for lethality or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that providing a requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. Now, I saw this, and somebody pretty much, it says it, the military now has the right to kill Americans on American soil, helping local law enforcement or state law enforcement. Now, why is that something that was pushed or made effective right before the election? I'm gonna just leave it there. We're in the fourth cycle. There's supposed to be a war coming soon, a big one. And it may be a civil war. Financial crash is expected soon. I know 2008 one happened, but there may be another. So I'm gonna say the gangs. I don't think that's who they're coming after. I think, as people have said in this chat for months now, COVID might have been just a test. How far can be pushed in to do certain things? Okay, I don't say the imported gangs. Or you think they're the military? Well, they did say that if you want to become a citizen faster, if you are a migrant, you should join the military. So that kind of fits. All right, let me go to the next thing. Hold on, y'all. Okay. All right. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris' new economic agenda reveals what she would do to help Black men. Brink says, crash the economy, take all these bills away. Oh, yeah, it's basically let everybody go pretty much file for bankruptcy at the same time, I guess. All right, Jimmy Carter votes for Kamala Harris. The former president who turned 100 earlier this month said he wanted to live long enough to vote for a Democratic presidential nominee. I mean, I know y'all seen that picture of him or that video of him getting pushed around out there. It looked like a carcass being pushed on a damn gurney or whatever. At some point, look, man, if I'm that old and I look like, don't bring me in public, bro. I don't want pictures taken of me. I don't want video. Please just let me just go in peace at that point. Arnold says, black men reduced to weed is crazy. Oh, yeah, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. But Jimmy Carter obviously was the president. No, it wasn't him. I'm sorry. Was it him? Who was the president or the politician that said that the only way we're going to get a female president is if we make her the vice president and kill the actual president so that she can automatically get in office? Who that was. Anyway. Let me move forward. Kamala Harris, Ford, thank you, that's Ford. All right, Kamala Harris backs federal legalization of weed after convicting 1,900 offenders in San Francisco. Yeah, Mark, it was Ford. So after locking all those people up, being proud of it, standing on it, laughing about it, now you're pro legalization. You didn't try to push any legislation any time in your life. You never came out in support of this being a thing until now. Regina says the press does look like a carcass, unfortunately, and she looked like a white rock star in the thumbnail you show. Exactly. Oh, man. All right. Despite her past record as San Francisco district attorney, where she oversaw more than 1,900 marijuana convictions, Vice President Kamala Harris is urging black men to vote for her by promising to legalize marijuana if elected president. Legalization of weed is bittersweet. Whether you support it or not, I don't think I really support it. I think it wouldn't really benefit society at large, but it would, I guess, decriminalize and create less people in prison, I guess. So that's a benefit. But I do pay attention. I remember there was a video going around a while ago of this teenage little white girl, might have been 19, 20 years old. She had a warehouse filled to the roof with marijuana, just packed with weed. And she's like, just started my new business, yada, yada, yada. I'll be a millionaire, yada, yada, yada. And I mean, all the black people in the comments was like, damn, I got family members who went to prison, are in prison to this day because of selling marijuana. And now you got this little, she just got pounds and pounds and acres, got whole field, acres of land they buying and just growing marijuana on it. It's just funny how just a few decades changes so much. I'm gonna say this. Think that man family searching for his will don't make sense why he's in public like that. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Then it says the series The Gentleman comes to mind. Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, this also reminds me of when Eric Adams they got his ass. Eric Adams was talking about growing weed on top of the projects so that people that live in the buildings could benefit from it. That's crazy. Says, watching the Feel the Real Rick Ross interview, let me know that industry is not for black men, more puppet masters. Yeah, I think it was New Jersey. I think I got a video on here of a dude talking about it, how the black men in New Jersey, or black people, in New Jersey who kept applying for licenses to sell marijuana, all of them were denied in New Jersey. So it's like, yeah, we still living in this system, so it is what it is. Let me show this.
Yet they try to paint, to me, you're the law and order candidate. And yet they try to paint you like you're some leftist who I don't know, who wants to have people running through the streets committing crimes. You were a prosecutor.
I have put a lot of people in jail.
To me, you're
this
the
is
law.
such her messaging is so all over the place. On one hand, she wants to be law and order president, who's about following the law to the letter of the line or whatever. But then she also wants to be this liberal, progressive president who's about getting rid of laws. It's strange. Keeper says Howard Stern is absolutely disgusting. Hey, talk about a rebrand. I'm not old enough to have watched Howard Stern when he was Howard Stern. Howard Stern, from what I know, was one of the most hated radio hosts. He was always doing freak stuff. The fact that he was able to rebrand to this political, not soft-spoken, but this asshole political dude, or damn near middle, what do they call it? Almost conservative figure. There was at one point he was the extreme of liberal. At least socially. I'll say socially he was. So to see him now being this dude that Kamala Harris is sitting in front of with a dude who used to have women share their pull out their breasts in front of him or perform sexual acts in the studio in front of him, it's just crazy. And talk about the black woman that's with him who's his I guess you would say is his co-host or whatever, how she's been there through the whole ride and he made her a millionaire, so she stuck it out. But it's just crazy how many people have had this extreme makeover in their public persona or how they're viewed. But yeah, she don't know what she want to be. Now you're bragging about locking people up, but I just don't get it. I also want to show this because in that bill she had, she talked about giving $20,000 in loan forgiveness, basically up to $20,000 for black men or others. I came for the other part to get loans to start businesses. She also put cryptocurrency protection for black men, and it's like, what is that about? We said Howard Stern's still alive. Jenny says, "Not sorry, I can't stand her. She reminds me of a fake Mean Girl character." Honorable says, only know him from his movie. Gibbon said he talked about having sex with underage girls. He said a lot of wild stuff, like crazy stuff, and now he's a Democratic supporter. Brayden says repulsive and dated shock jocks. Yeah, that old school shock jock stuff. He still tries to pull it off a little bit, but now it's just so toned down because he's talking politics. He used it to kick Trump back in now.
Of crypto super PACs.
Now this dude's name is Champagne Sharks. He gave his understanding of why he believes she put the cryptocurrency in the black man's bill. Says for all men, it's another nothing Asian bill. Let Roland tell.
And the impact they're making on both sides of the aisle. Let's get to Mackenzie Sagalos with that story. Morning, Mackenzie.
Hey, good morning, Carl. So those crypto super PACs, which are outraising the big banks and oil this cycle.
He says they're all actors. They got something on. Oh, I know they got something on Howard Stern. The fact that he was the first person to get $100 million, I think, from Sirius XM in like 2000 and whatever that was. Yeah, he's in debt deeply to the industry. He'll never go against anything.
Are now starting to warm up to Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris. An FEC filing just out this week shows that the Ripple Labs in the XRP token to the Future Forward Super PAC. Now, that committee is supporting the VP's run for the White House and began accepting donations in digital tokens back in September. All in, Larson has given a total of around $1.9 million to support Harris's campaign. Now, Ripple is also one of multiple crypto firms fighting SEC Chair Gary Gensler in court. The chief legal officer of Uniswap, a decentralized exchange, battling claims that it violated U.S. securities laws, has also given money to the Harris Action Fund. Anthony Scaramucci of Skybridge Capital, who says that he's among a group of crypto advocates working with Harris to develop her campaign's policies on digital assets, has given to 2 PACs supporting the Democratic nominee. And then there's
Scaramucci was the guy under Trump, in case y'all forget.
Venture capitalist Ben Horowitz, who maintains a sizable portfolio of crypto companies. The A16Z co-founder and his partner, Mark Andreessen, said in July that they were planning to make significant donations to PACs supporting Donald Trump's run for president. But then last week, Horowitz said that he'd be donating to the vice president's election bid in the latest sign that the crypto industry is starting to get behind Harris.
So even the crypto people who were supporting Trump have started shifting to Harris. So that's something I feel like is not being really said enough with the crypto tab in the black men thing that everybody is laughing at.
I believe this is because she's going to do the bidding of Wall Street. What she said pretty much. This isn't the benefit necessarily black men. This is to embolden or to gain more support from Wall Street. Brayden says, I won't buy any more crypto until I currently have what I have currently has doubled. They cap it. Don't buy any crypto until after the election. Yeah, I wouldn't either. Marco says, is BlackRock on the crypto program? Crypto program? BlackRock is in everything. BlackRock and JP Morgan, I think it was last year, they announced that they was doing the funding for the rebuilding of Ukraine. So BlackRock is in everything. We saw that BlackRock is also put money into the mining in North Carolina with that company. They invested into that company that's mining in North Carolina after the hurricane. So yeah. Virginia says it's a money grab for Wall Street and it's just noise for black men's vote. Yeah, this is really looking past the black men with this one. So in announcing her blackmail package after, I believe, Obama did a lot of damage with his comments on black men and not voting for Kamala Harris. Because that was everywhere. Everybody would have any type of views, no matter how big or small that platform was, whether it be through video or just typing on the internet, everybody gave an opinion on that. Negative opinions on Barack, which is why, like I said to Mark earlier, I don't understand how we know that these people they have a team that is hired to go around and analyze the discussion around them. What is the temperature of the public? So I don't understand why Kamala has been pushing this black thing, trying to get herself to be compared to Obama. Obama isn't as well liked as he was in 2008. This is not the same America. This is not the same political environment. It's totally different. He says, if they keep crypto open market, it will be good. If she gets in, it won't happen. My husband and I just had this convo. Yeah. Well, at some point, it's going to be heavily regulated. They can't let these cryptos start competing with them as far as compete with the dollar and stuff. We already see that they already said it a couple of years ago. I think it was they were going to announce a crypto dollar for American crypto dollar. So, and all the other countries are doing it. You know, China is trying to push theirs or whatever. So, yeah. Virginia said the Obama veil has been lifted off the eyes of so now people can realize with their real eyes all the real lies of him. Yeah, exactly. And Kamala was still kind of tone deaf, and even announcing that, she did an interview with Roland Martin. She did an interview with the Shade Room. Like, what? Let me show this little clip from the Shade Room interview she did.
Yes. Freedom, I can't lose. I'm not going to mess up the words, and I don't want to get sued by Beyonce.
And there are a couple of versions that she has, right?
I know. Did you call up the queen? Like, how did that work?
She absolutely gave me permission to use the song. I love her, and
have you met her?
I have met her, but not since I've been running just now.
Okay.
But I have met her, and she's just very special.
Let me say this too. These softball interviews get them on. Zesty, Kiefer, Brilliant Moist. This is who she decided to sit down with while announcing a plan for black men. So this is who they want the face of black America to be. And also, I've noticed there's been a big turn on how J.D. Vance is viewed as well. That just popped up in my mind. J.D. Vance, when he first was announced as Trump VP in those first interviews, yeah. Have you ever been? Hold on.
I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing where everything was overwhelming and you?
Good God. So yeah, this is who they want you to sit down with as the face of black America. Black men, should I say. All right, They're giving her these softball interviews. And y'all see she checked Roland too. Like Roland up to one of the dudes that was with her, and she's like, she checked how he referred to that dude. Bree said, "Is that John Legend?" That's a Shade Room interviewer, man. He says, "You that was exaggerated." Too. All right. Then this right here came out. I saw this article right here was this is 3 days ago. So why would you have an agenda for black men and then come out and say Kamala's agenda for black men will be open to all, campaign says. So so what was the point of calling it an agenda for black men? If everybody's what's the point? Mark Gordon, moist. I remember Coy Open had a joke where he called people who was moist like that, he called them koi fish. Koi. All right, now let me play this right here. This was Travis Smiley. I think that's how you say his name, Travis Smiley. Obviously, we know this dude hated Obama from the beginning. He never wanted Obama in office. But I think he's stomping from Kamala. I think he wants Kamala in office. I'm not sure. I haven't looked up his support of her or not. But I saw this clip where somebody was speaking on Obama, who was on his campaign in 2008, and she spoke on Obama's reaction being referred to as a black president and so far. Kiefer says, cause it was never just for the black man. Exactly. But they did that, they pulled that stunt after what Obama said got them a lot of backlash, and then they pulled that stunt to put black men on top of black men agenda on top of that bullshit she put out, so that if black men come against her now, it's, oh, see, I tried, I will never be able to convince you to vote for me, yada, yada, yada. Right.
Of conversations, I just ran down some of them. What's your sense of how she did or has done?
Well, I think she's been doing spectacular, but if you don't mind, I'd love to step back to your opening monologue about my former boss, Barack Obama.
Sure.
Can I just tell you what I do appreciate about you most is that you bring all of the receipts. And I think a lot of it people were unaware of and probably hadn't taken stock of. And when you hear it back to back to back to back, it paints this really clear picture. The one thing I wanted to add is you're absolutely right about the sentiment that was within the White House. I was on the 08 campaign and then transitioned eventually into the Obama White House. And there was a sense, a clear message that was sent to us on the staff that Obama is above race, that he is ascended race. And we are...
Y'all remember that? The entire message after Obama got in office, the entire message was, we're in a post-racial society. Remember that? How race don't matter no more. We got a black president. The post-racial America is what they're talking about.
Not to talk about him. I mean, this is the law. And I'm just going to say it out loud, which is, we are not to talk about him as a black man. In fact, I remember when I did an event with Nas down in Norfolk State, and they were like, make sure you don't have Nas talk about his song about having a black president. Like, we don't want to associate ourselves with that. And that really bled into the psyche and the thinking of the people around Barack Obama.
That's when we started hearing he can't do something for just black people. He's the president of America. He can't just do anything for black people. He's not a black president. He's the president.
And it affected the decisions that were made. Now, when you think that the president is above race and therefore he is above black, that influences everything he does. And so I remember being in those rooms begging for more attention after Michael Brown died, right? A visit to the family, a call to the family. I mean, doing more.
I remember when Trayvon Martin was killed and he came out and said, that could have been my son. And how that pissed off the white people. Looking back, that was we should have really been more angry at him as black people for him saying that, knowing that he barely even speak up for anything that happened.
At each one of these points, and we just got, ran into a brick wall. And it was primarily because of the people he had surrounded himself with, who he's now sent over to Kamala Harris's campaign. But the sentiment there was, we're above that. And so any concerns of the community, we're above even addressing in a lot of ways. And so that was really hurtful as, a person who's black first and a woman second and a Democrat way down the line. But so I'm glad you actually put all of that stuff together, because it really is important as we talk about what kind of a leader we want. Now, if we transition to the vice president,
hold that thought.
So I guess they're going to try to give Kamala props for quote unquote being black and saying she went to a HBCU and such. So yeah. Bree said word salad. Kiefer says if you look at her website, you will never hear her plan is for you'll know. I'm sorry. Everyone, especially illegal immigrants. Margot said a lot of people on the right said it was out loud. People on the left said it internally. Yeah. All right, so let me play this next clip. There was a blow up that happened with a Kamala supporter after the Obama situation in reaction to people getting angry with him.
Oh, we might not have a fucking vote. The fuck are we talking about? Y'all happy with that 85% of black men that vote for Democrats? Y'all think that's something that, oh, yeah, but we no, nigga, it should be in the 90th percentile.
Like, think about what he's saying. Without them offering you anything, it should automatically be 90th percentile.
The fuck is we talking about? Raising up my goddamn blood pressure. Because the one time we said could come together as a goddamn community to protect black women, we can't do it.
How is voting for Kamala Harris protecting black women? It makes no sense. Margot said this guy's something he's going to bust a blood vessel. Yeah.
I hate this shit. I hate what this goddamn election has done to our goddamn people. You make me hate niggas.
listen, and keep in mind, if I'm not mistaken, this guy is on the moist side, by the way. Listen to the vitriol he's speaking with, talking about black men. Think about that for a second. I hate you niggas, but I'm supposed to listen to any critique you put towards anybody when you coming in with I hate you. Like, what?
I hate you niggas. I swear to fucking God. That's why I stay away from niggas.
Keep it to my anxiety level just went up.
The fuck is we talking about? That motherfucker trying to tell us that we need to get our ass in gear.
All right, we got to listen to the rest of this. I'm sorry, Regina's earlier comment, black you acts as the MK ultra trigger word for the culture that causes people to suspend their common sense and questions. Man, I've been talking about it for months. I guess nobody cares about it. I'm sorry if I'm beating a dead drum, but African is not a race anymore. It's official. It's black now. So if a person is from the continent of Africa, do not refer to them as African. African is not a race anymore. I just found that out. But yeah, black has a lot of clout right now. Black historically in America, black was obviously it was in the dirt for a long time. Now, for whatever reason, a shift has happened, and black has a lot of political and social clout, and everybody want a part of it. Virginia says that black equals mixed with off-key emotions, emotionally abandoning common sense and questions. Exactly. Margot said louder than Samuel L. Jackson in one of his movies. Oh, Lord. Who that nigga on that nag? Virginia says, nah, that's subjective. That's it's not like that no more. Clout at this point or having some level, black has a certain level of esteem to it now where at some level you have to attach yourself to it. Think about hip hop. What's the guy's name? Tommy Richmond, the dude who made that song $1 Million Baby. He came out and said, I'm not hip hop, right? He got a lot of backlash for that, and because a lot of the support he was getting was from that hip hop black audience. And then his team just put his song in for the request to be for the Grammys for the award for best rap songs. So rap, black is entry level into greater America. So you need to be on the ground level attached to blackness or black people or the culture so that you can move forward. Mark Gordon said, I'm not giving up. I'm still calling them African. But then it says it does kind of have an artificial power based upon how you just described it. That's the kick, yeah. That's the trick, yeah. Marco said, black is us, not Caribbean, not African. Hey, man. Travis, I saw a video. Well, it wasn't a video, so it was a back and forth on Twitter between a young lady, I think she was an African young lady, and a black American dude. And she was confused that he was referring to her as not black. And she was like, what do you mean? He was like, you're African. She's like, African is not a race. And I was like, I've been saying this for months, that that's the new thing. I didn't know how it went that far, but it was said out loud, where they were just saying that African is not a race anymore. I thought there was at one point there was 3 races. Now, I'm not saying this is real, by the way. I know all this is just a construct. But it was it was African, Caucasian, and Asian. There was 3 races. Oh, and Native or Indian, I guess you would say. Native American, I mean. It was considered 4 races. So now African is not a race. It's black. It's the race now for the whole entire billion of people. Virginia says others use it for their elevation, but we use it to keep ourselves down and don't seem to realize, ooh. Because in America, historically, it wasn't really even a race. Even it was how you were treated. The bottom, black represented the bottom. It was poor. It was low education. It was low options and all this other. It wasn't a good thing, obviously. But now there's plenty of options in it for people who know how to finesse. Mark Gordon says race is political construct covered in biology. Yeah. Let me show this now. Let me run through this. Fox News poll, Trump's ahead of Harris by 2 points nationally. I don't know if I would follow completely Fox News poll, but that's what they're saying now. But I want to say this. O'Brien says, until the lion learns to write the story, will always be told by the hunter. Exactly. Exactly. Find out who you are. Find out where you're going. So now, the black support for Trump, I am surprised by certain people being next to him. Now, this is Trick. I don't know if y'all know Trick. Trick is, one of these street dudes from Detroit. He's known for giving the no-fly zone. He's a Detroit legend, I guess. He's a Detroit legend. He's throwing his support. Apparently, I don't know if this is recent. I'll be honest. He's throwing his support behind Trump. I mean, it says Trump bench there, so.
What up, though, Detroit? If y'all know about Trick Trick, y'all know I'm about bringing it all to Detroit. So please welcome the 47th President of the United States as we make Detroit great again.
Trump is getting a lot of rappers and stuff. Whether he's paying them or not, more than likely. He's getting a lot of these black rappers to come out and support him. Although he did the same thing in 2016, honestly. We're gonna say he's the big Meech of Detroit, but yeah, I know him. He's that guy in Detroit. If you want to get something moving and shaking in Detroit, you got to go through him. Kind of extortion, but I'm okay with somebody who says if you want to make money here, you got to invest here. It's just unfortunate that it seems to be more on the criminal side. It's unfortunate that has to be a part of it, but the idea of I understand what he's done, what he's doing, but it is what it is. Trump sways and bops to music for 39 minutes in bizarre town hall episode. Virginia says, Trump reminds me of an OG Negro man I grew up around in the 60s, straight, no chase, love him or leave him. Yeah. He from Queens, ain't he? But, excuse me. I know Kamala had a town hall with Charlamagne the God. And Trump had a town hall. Now, I'm going to talk about Trump's town hall first because some weird stuff happened. In this article right here, they try to accuse Trump of being mentally unstable as Kamala has been trying to push that narrative for her entire campaign so far. What happened was, at his town hall, there was a medical emergency in the crowd. So during the medical emergency, they play music to get the crowd to kind of, get back in the mood or whatever. But then right after that, someone else had a medical emergency. So they kept playing the music. Now, there's theories out there that believe that the reason why Trump just sat there for 39 minutes and just danced, even though he knew the town hall was over. 2 people had medical emergencies in the crowd, like, it's over. Some people believe that it was a sabotage, that the people who had those medical emergencies, it was some bullshit. And some people believe the reason why Trump stayed and did a little bop for 39 minutes is because he didn't want to leave early. The headline be, Donald Trump abandons town hall. Because I'm going to show later that Kamala Harris' town hall, they said got 8 million views, or Trump's got 3. I believe that's because a lot of those Fox News people wanted to see Kamala Harris get her ass handed to her in that interview. That's why there's so much more viewership. That would be the first time she had a real hard interview since she decided to run again for president. So I don't know. It was some weird stuff going on with the Trump thing, whether you believe it or not. But they're trying to paint this as a mental problem that he's having. Him just dancing on stage for 39 minutes, but it is what it is. All right, let me play this right here.
Taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President.
Ain't it the dude that was stealing people briefcases? Lord mercy.
They, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
And of course, you got a video of him hugging the old black lady. Where he said the business of America is business, exactly. Which is why a lot of people want Trump in, because people who had motion, they felt like they was able to move a little more with Trump. All right, let me run through this stuff now. Let me play this clip right here. I won't play all of it, but I'm going to play some of this clip here. Facts. It says she looked FBA hugging Trump. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe so, but he made sure to put that in the ad. Very shrewd of him, I guess.
Black men have to get over the fact that you got a woman on the ticket. Right. And are you afraid to vote for her is basically what he did and challenged them.
A damn shame. It's like, it's so insulting. Could you imagine a white man talking down to black people like that, particularly black men? That's our issue, women. It's not the fact that I don't have a job or my job is not existing or, I'm in a world where, by the way, progressives are erasing me from movies, from billboards, from opportunities. The Democratic Party, particularly progressives in Hollywood, Madison Avenue, Washington, D.C., Wall Street, they have erased the black man. There's no opportunities for black men anywhere in their world. And I think a lot of it centers around what they perceive as to be too much toxic masculinity. They hate black masculinity. They hate it. And they've gone to war with it, and black men have noticed it. And guess what? They're saying, we're not going to take it anymore. Give you an example. By the way, they're tired of being pimped. Brothers are tired of being pimped. Kamala Harris is going to do something to legalize marijuana. As they were pushing for this, all these states, the legalization thing, every time they put black people in the commercials, front row, it's opportunities for minorities. This is an article from 2022. Payne, talking about Congressman Donald Payne at the time, outraged that New Jersey denied cannabis licenses to all black-owned businesses who applied. To all, to every single one, none. But they had the ads, black kids and black people making money from this. But when it came through, they gave them zero. They give them zero every single time. And guess what? Black men are waking up. They're not wanted in the white progressive world.
Virginia said, yep, she's pimping easy. Oh, yeah. Mark Gordon says he's talking like the GOP is doing everything for black men when they're in. That's what I'm saying. Like, hold on. When he said the part about black men are finished with the Democrat, like, I get it. If you are a conservative, you use this moment to try and put a battery in the back of the men who you think are tired of the other part. But let's be honest. At least 80 to 85% of these dudes are going to vote for Kamala. Like, don't let these online discussions and stuff confuse you for real life and what people are really going to do at the polls. A lot of these dudes, they just going to vote for who everybody else voting for. So it is what it is. Brilliant says, permanent underclass. Mark Gordon said, both parties are trash. Exactly. Yeah, that's why I find. Another thing is, why don't you never go on these passionate rants when the GOP does something that is negatively impacting your brothers, as you say? You don't say nothing then, but maybe you do. I don't know you that well. And then I want to show this. I'm not going to show the whole thing. They said Trump went to a black barbershop, but the barbershop was actually a Spanish barbershop. This is a Spanish barbershop that he went to. And I just want to ask one question. When did the barbershop become the center of the Hispanic community? Now, I'm not familiar with this, so I don't know. But I didn't know that the barbershop, like with black men, was the center of was the Hispanic community. I didn't know that was their safe space, as they say. So when did that happen? Then I gotta play this right here. Marco said, well, they were wearing black. Virginia said, rants, passion are for the Dems. Good arguments are for Repugs. Or at least how it plays out in the media. Yeah. Definitely. They defend that and justify everything they do. Let me play this right quick.
Well, look, for me, it has never really been about black man or man. It's been about men. Mm-hmm. You know, there's this myth out there that black men can't handle being spoken to, you know, and told what to do by black women. Black men come from our bodies. Yeah. So black men have black mothers. So they're used to having these conversations with women.
The matriarchy is strong with the black
community. It is very strong.
They saying the quiet part out loud. The black community is matriarchal. I've only seen, now I haven't paid attention to the other sports, but I'll be honest, the number one leagues that are attempting to give athletes, male athletes, female coaches, is the NBA and the NFL. You know why? Because majority of the players are black. I remember when a woman wanted to be a coach in the NBA when they first started pushing that idea. And the woman said, we shouldn't think that these men won't listen to a woman because they have mothers. And most of these men in the NBA grew up to single mothers. So they were saying it out loud that these men will follow female leadership, no problem. That's the kind of the community structure at this point. So they just saying it out loud.
Yeah, and
keep it to the thumbs down. Brilliant says, "Oh, hush, Whoopi." Regina said, "The View finally speaking on truth." Say what? People said, "Sure, Whoopi. She's never been with a black man." Yeah. You know. Matter of fact, she allowed a white man to say nigga on TV and laugh, but you know.
And you know,
and blackface.
Kamala Harris is going to be a president who recognizes that she's not just one group's president, she's everybody's president. She has to be.
We're back to the Obama way of doing things. You're not a black woman president, which we know. You're the country's president. Brady said them switch of sweets making her lips blacker than black. Whoopi been puffing for decades, boy. And I want to show this comment by Sonny. I think there was a couple. I don't know how it was, but I saw this video first.
But, you know, we can't poll people's hearts, and we can't see into people's hearts. And so when we're looking at these polls and we're looking at who is voting for Trump, you've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. I don't know what their hearts look like, but I know what their votes. But I'm not talking of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy black men that did vote for Trump.
So whenever she mentioned every group, the only group she used that type of language with, ridiculous, crazy black man, was black men. She didn't say that about the Cubans, whites, Asians, none of them. She didn't even say that about white women. Only the ridiculous, crazy black. This is the matriarch she was talking about, where there's the expectations that there's no way that a black man would do anything to vote against this black, quote unquote, black woman. It's insane how they can't, some of these, I'm not saying all, some of these women cannot hide their contempt. Even if it's a slight contempt for black men, it's crazy. Brian says, who was we? Brian says, ridiculous, crazy black? Exactly. Sonny is miserable, Keith. Marcus, I don't believe we are the true matriarchy. We have never been allowed grown our own home. Every time we tried to build, they would destroy and infer. Well, let's be honest. Look, I want you to go back in history and look at every year's percentage vote for the national election. And the more you go along with more single-parent households and look at the increase in Democratic voting. If you go from 1940 to 2020, you'll see a dramatic, you can see the culture shift in just that alone, just the voting habits. So the more the community became less tight-knit and two-parent household, the more you saw the Democratic vote go up to the point where it became normal to expect 80-90% of the black vote in general every election cycle, every 4 years. Virginia says, I'm telling you that word is used as magic, black magic. In this case, just in the hands of the wrong people. Yeah? Yeah. All right, what else we got next? Let me play this last clip from The View.
I think it will make a difference because of this division that they're trying to cause within the black community and with the I just think it's a fallacy that black men are the problem. Black men are not the problem. When you look at the stats, the New York Times just came out with a poll. 80% of African Americans will be voting for Kamala Harris, and that includes black men.
But it was more from Biden. I think that's the issue, right?
No, this is about Harris.
I know,
right, but Biden had greater support with black men than Harris did.
Yes, but that still does not negate the fact that black men are still supporting Kamala Harris.
By and large.
Right? By and large. And so, you know, we're not talking about white women. We're not talking about Hispanic men. We're talking about black men, and they're not the problem. So
he tried to come back and clean it up with his bull junk, but, you know. Brady says, no matter who vote blue, is black people scripts. Yeah, no matter who vote blue. Mark Gordon says, true because they focus on breaking up our families through laws. Yeah. The devious plan, man. What they call the evil genius. All right, I want to show this clip right here, then we'll get to the last tab. But we'll get into Candace Owens. Pretty much to me, 10 years ago-ish, 15 years ago, what Candace Owens is doing would be the tank of a campaign. We saw a man in America, a Caucasian man. I think he was running for office, some local office. I don't even know if he ran for president, but maybe his campaign tanked because he screamed weird. A man lost his whole campaign tanked because he screamed in a strange way. The fact you have someone online seemingly showing facts that a person is lying about their lineage and history, and they're making it's just quiet outside of that bubble, people who paying attention to it. It just shows how different mudslinging has become in politics, where you can say the most extreme things, true or false, and you have people that just ignore it, and some people that just understand how crazy it is that it's even a thing. Like, it's just crazy. Anyway, Gordon says, I didn't think The View has a research department. If they did, they comments would be more sound. Keeper says, that was hilarious, though. Yeah, the dude lost his campaign because he screamed strange. He screamed in a strange way, and they laughed him out of the whole campaign. It was crazy. Regina says, that's funny, dude, because I was thinking about how that scream ended him. It was over. I might turn that into a soundbite. It's crazy. Ended his whole political career. All right, a black conservative radio host invoked field and house slaves in arguing why some black men backed Trump. Now, this is the reason why I named the show House versus Field. It was a hillbilly issue. Yahoo How, yeah. You know what? There might be some type of deeper understanding of why he was immediately pushed away, because he came off as inauthentic maybe in that yell, that he did the whole fist bump with it, and it was just like, oh, he's a goofy. Keeper says, especially the Dave Chappelle skit. Howard Dean, yeah, I think that was his name. The Dave Chappelle skit is funny. All right, let me play this clip right here. I'm not going to play the whole 6 minutes, don't worry.
Editor-in-Chief of Bloomberg. I want to move on to what Donald Trump has said about an issue near and dear to both of your hearts, the issue of black Americans and Latino voters. Kamala Harris has been doing interviews on black media. Trump, though, is overperforming in polling with both groups compared to past Republicans. Here is what he said when he was campaigning in Pennsylvania.
Any African American or Hispanic, and you know how well I'm doing there, that votes for Kamala, you got to have your head examined, because they are really screwing you. They are really screwing you.
It is Kamala, for the record, but he is denigrating voters for making a choice that he does not like. Shelley, to you, what does he achieve with this?
Well, first of all, how is he denigrating voters?
He's saying that they are being, for lack of a better word, screwed.
Taken advantage of. They're being taken advantage of. They're paying higher pricing. They're working class, the ones that are working class, lower middle class. They're paying more for food. They're paying more for gas, and they're being taken advantage of.
But
and
Shelley,
over the course of 30 years, they voted.
He also said that they had to have their head examined. That is not something that is a compliment.
Obama just told me the same thing. Obama just told me the same thing. I've got black women telling me I'm not really he inferred them. He implied them. He certainly did. He even threatened us with, "You're lucky Michelle's not here." I mean, come on. Let's not make things up.
We had Joe Biden say, you ain't black if you don't vote for me.
Let's be honest.
Oh, man. Oh, what up, Smiley? Regina, Kamala. Margot said he didn't have to scream if you listen to the whole speech. He tried to land the plane without the wheels. Yeah. Brilliant says a golfer impression is spot on.
Honest here, and let's really be clear what's being said. If you're an African-American man, look, let me boil this election down in the African-American community to a very simple a reference to great Malcolm X. This race is between House African-Americans and field African-Americans. And the field African-Americans are going for Donald Trump. I'm talking about your men who build, your men who put things together, your men who work with their hands, your men who do things, not the men who push paper, or the men who are...
You know what's so extremely funny about this? Because he's a so-called lighter-skinned gentleman, and the darker-skinned dude, it's so crazy how the dynamic is, historically, the stereotype is so opposite here. So he said it's the house Negro and field Negro. And after he said this, I'm not going to show the rest of the video because they just started interrupting at that point. It just didn't go anywhere. But I thought this was hilarious. I'm gonna play a little bit more.
Connected to power and want to continue to be connected to power.
Are you denigrating
African
African American men who are professionals who work in white collar jobs? Is that what I'm hearing from you, or
no?
I'm just trying to understand is Shelley the house woman or the field woman? I'm just trying to understand that part. I'm just trying to understand. We have someone who's spitting. I'm just trying to understand the one that's spitting talking points right now. Are you the house Negro or the field Negro that you're referring to? So I just want to make sure your question was about denigrating black people. That literally was your question. You have a Republican fool who was talking right now about you.
Okay, it went nowhere. It just led to, didn't go in. Keep says shake my head. Virginia said the ironies of duality is all in these things, and your face is astounding. Yeah, this is crazy. What's this?
Or the one that we haven't seen yet that's happening right now.
Oh yeah, let me show this right quick. Somebody they dissed Roland Martin on here. They kicked this back in a little bit. Let me show it.
Or the one that we haven't seen yet that's happening right now.
I thought it was great for her to sit down with Charlemagne. I should say as well, she sat down with Roland Martin as well, another very popular.
Very popular? Come on. You must know him or something.
Let the record reflect.
I want to say this right quick. This guy right here, I think his name Godfrey or whatever. He's one of the worst fake personas I've ever seen get created on Fox News. Like he tries to act like he's just everyday man. He doesn't wear a tux all the time. He wears jeans and a sweater. He don't wear a tie and all this other stuff. He tries to act like he's just the common man. When it's all just a character. Like you're a multi-millionaire who wears cufflinks when you go to events. Like just stop. But yeah, they definitely. Margot says Biden has made Charlemagne his bitch when he said you ain't black if you don't vote for me, and he didn't say nothing. He let him say it. This was crazy. I watched Virginia says I watched the other day. They all just got on my nerves, and in my humble opinion, why black folks should stay out of politics. Too damn emotional arguing white politics. Keeper says she's obnoxious. Brain says brain numbing. Yeah, these characters they create for the everyday man. All right. Last video of this tab, and then we'll get to Candace Owens, and we'll end the show. I want to show you what this Indian man said to this woman.
I asked you about a black agenda is because I noticed on your website, I did not see that. And when I hear this phrase of infrastructure, I feel like, again, that is in my opinion, what I've heard again, this is the same type of talking point that I do hear, particularly from elites and, people that are from these elite academic institutions that live here in Massachusetts. And they truly believe that all you need to do is fix infrastructure. But the reality is there is a debt that is owed to descendants of slavery in this country that has not been paid. And that repair does need to be made.
I think you have to take a systems approach to this. And this is not an elite thing for me because I know where I came from. All right. There's a lot of black bourgeois who talk about that, but they don't want to address the issue either. And the fundamental issue is.
I'm very well aware of that, Dr. Shiva, and I've actually called out those individuals on this show multiple times. I'm very well aware of that. And I don't mean for you to get defensive. But the reason, again, I have called out those people on this show multiple times. My viewers be the first to let you know. So I'm very well aware of that. But I think you are bringing up two different things. 1 minute where I was mentioning to you reparations, which is a debt that is owed. And now you bring up fighting for racism. And fighting
both things. Both things, Abby. No,
there's a difference. Well, let me finish what I was saying. There is a difference between racial justice and a debt that is owed. And that's just what I want to get across to you. No, they are two different things.
You're trying to buckets. I'm saying they're interrelated. So the reparations at MIT that need to be owed was that you have a bunch of people who came who were never given infrastructure, at all. So the debt
that is not how reparations works, Dr. Shiva.
No. That is your definition of reparations.
No, Dr. Shiva, with all due respect, I don't try to tell you how to do science. So I would really appreciate it if you don't try to tell me.
That's like saying, I haven't, wait, Savvy. You're looking at a dark-skinned being.
No. I don't. Dr. Shiva, I do not try to tell you how to do your job. I don't try to tell you about that.
What's my job?
What I am saying, Dr. Shiva, what I am trying to, if you interrupt me again, I'm going to mute you. What I am trying to explain to you is this. You cannot sit here and try to tell me what reparations is. I know what it is. It is the debt that is owed.
Indentured servants in the United States. So don't talk to me about that. Lower caste Indians, my great-grandfather was a fucking slave. So don't talk to me about that. You know better than me.
Dr. Shiva, with all due respect, you don't know everything. You don't know everything. No, you do not.
And neither do you, Sabi.
I don't claim to.
Because
I don't
you have a
claim
dark
to.
skin, I have a dark skin doesn't mean
there are certain things.
Racism is different
This
than
is
mine.
not about skin color.
Yes, it
this
is.
is about lineage. No, it is not.
Oh, really? And I don't know about lineage?
You don't know.
Bullshit.
Dr. Shiva.
You don't know my journey.
Dr. Shiva.
You don't know the fact that we grew up under slavery and indentured servitude. You don't know about that.
I am not talking about India.
Then get to the point and don't try to fuck at me. Do not
about a debt that is owed to descendants of slavery in this country. I am not talking about India.
I'm not talking about India. I'm talking about here.
What I am saying is, it is very important on this show. No. It's very important on this show that we don't intermix the two, because what has happened is people will say, if you cut me off again, I swear to God, I will end this interview. I'm not kidding.
Don't threaten me. You can end it.
I'm not kidding. No, Dr. Shiva, I'm not kidding. And honestly, you're acting like an arrogant jackass. I'm telling you right now, you're acting like an arrogant jackass. Oh, I am very familiar. I am very familiar. You have no respect right now.
You're yelling
at me. I have listened to what you had to say, but do not come on here and disrespect me.
Listen to anything I had to say. You kept interrupting me.
That's it. Goodbye. So the reason why.
Oh boy. So that didn't go anywhere. Green says, he said reparations. Shake my head. Virginia says, shut up, Kamala Harris. Donald Harris brought father Indo-European looking cosplaying black culture and issues, mofo. East Indians were slaves in America? Green said, this isn't a civil discussion. It wasn't. Then says, I had an Asian coworker who acted just like him and kept trying to tell me what the black experience was, comparing it to China. Brings to their confidence. What exactly? Well, I showed that because apparently they said he called her a house Negro. And the part that I found interesting is he kept comparing his skin tone, which goes back to what I was saying about how Indians in the West, Indians that have moved west, have now been socialized in the political sphere, at least, to consider themselves black, at least politically. So he considered himself kind of somewhat adjacent to being black adjacent. So he kept pointing to his skin tone. She's like, no, I'm talking about lineage. So it's all getting mixed up. Anybody with dark skin that's in America can act as if they've had the same history as black Americans in this country. I will say though, him saying that there were Indian slaves in America, I didn't know about that. I'm gonna be honest. I know that were indentured. People that were brought here and were paid low wages, of course, but slaves, I didn't know. I'm not gonna share plagiarism saying in her book. She plagiarized her book, but what I am. She's not married to a black man. That's why they don't respect her speaking on black problems. Oh, see, I haven't followed her, so I don't know. So that's why he just kind of dismissive of her. Margot says everybody and their mama want to be black. Virginia said, I blame all the Negroes for this nonsense. That's what you get when you're being inclusive to people that can't stand your black asses and don't mind mounting themselves onto of you. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's a coming tide that's coming in the next 5 years. We're going to have to make some decisions. Some stuff got to happen politically and socially. Not going to stay on this. Don't worry, Brilliant. Not going to stay on this. How can we do more? Tulsa mayor introduces Beyond Apology Commission for 1921 race massacre. So they didn't deny these people of actually getting paid for what happened. So now they're saying, we're going to give you something bigger than an apology, a super apology, if you will. Oh, man. Braden says, don't discuss religion, politics, and history with no one outside your house. Yeah. I think you can discuss it you should be able to discuss it with your people, though. I mean, Mark Gordon says, East Indians were some of the first to identify as white because they are Caucasian. Exactly. Like a lot of the Middle East, like I said, When you talk about India and stuff, a lot of them are considered now Asian, but historically they've been considered Caucasian. A lot of them are kind of just mixed up in the Middle East. A lot of them have different admixtures. We talk about coming from whether it's an African, Caucasian, Asian background, or Caucasus background. So, yeah, I'll go to first. All right, let me play this right quick. Of the town hall with Kamala Harris and what she said about it.
First of all, on the point of reparations, it has to be studied.
I'm done. I just want to play that little bit. People was already, all right, we can turn it off. Who cares? Honorable says, didn't they advocate to be considered Asian? I'm going to be honest, I don't know when the shift happened with Indians. I just know that at some point during the years, I just saw them get referred to as Asian more. And that's what they kind of are designated as. Outside of America, well, outside of the West, really, I think in America, they're still considered Caucasian, as they were back in the, early to mid 1900s. They were considered Caucasian. I think they have kind of shifted to more Asian outside of the West. They're considered more Asian. So, yeah. I want to ask y'all a question, too, with this video here. Kamala Harris has been accused of using earphone for answering questions. I want to know if y'all believe that is the case. Since I didn't get why people cringe at study, we have to get an accurate accounting on why what was stolen from us. Well, there's been a ton of studies. They've been studying since the 70s, 80s, honestly. I don't think we need more studying, unless you're talking about on a local level, so you can track the history of different towns and cities and such. But I think on a national level, studying we should be past that. We've seen multiple studies. We know the harms. So it's just, at this point, it's like, whatever. Let me know if y'all think she's using a headphone right here or not.
And to increase screenings and to make sure that people are actually going and to make sure that people are actually going and to make sure that people are actually going and to make sure that people are actually going to get the screenings.
Now, she wasn't moving her earrings right there. It's kind of, she was pushing the middle of her ear, so something she was putting back in her ear. I don't know. Brilliant says them stimulus checks was a reparation. Oh, man. And Negroes, when they got them stimulus checks, you know what they did? One thing you gotta know, I'ma be a nigga for life. Unfortunately, they fell into all the stereotypes. It's sad, man. Honorable says we need a study for every state. Every state has impacted our people differently. Like I said, there's been plenty of studies on California, Chicago, New York, Jersey, Georgia. Plenty of places have done studies. I think we can say that at some point we can compare and contrast and understand that the same damage is probably happening in each state. Some slightly more severe than others. Obviously, places that have cities burned down and stuff, like in Florida or North Carolina and stuff like that. But I know. Brittany says she stayed with them earbuds. We're gonna say looked up the first East Indians with 1624 was not a slave. It was a head right to encourage immigration. I found out. Because I was doing some research on my family, and I found out just South Carolina was so much different than we view it now because it's on the coast and they was coming in through boats, obviously. So when people migrated to America, South Carolina was like very diverse. A lot of Indians, Asians, obviously black was for a little while the majority almost, or at least a big chunk. Obviously, you had a white population. You had Native Americans. We talked about the Locklear tribe, I think it was, how in South Carolina there's I don't want to misquote. I think it's either Turkish or something people in South Carolina that kind of stayed to themselves for a long time. It's crazy. South Carolina's kind of strange. Honorable says they use those checks to invest in black scams. Some of them fell for it, unfortunately. But then said them folks in the studies are getting paid reparations for doing the study. Yeah, they're getting paid to work on getting paid. So it is what it is. 1624 Jamestown, Virginia. I don't say people did try to do right with that little money. Blacks were robbed so bad. All the earn your leisure. Yeah, earn your leisure. Are we calling them full-blown scam at this point? Because a lot of people are kind of writing them off as it's a scam. Or at least they invited a lot of scammers on their platform. It is what it is. All right. Let me play this Candace clip All right, Brian says South Carolina had a lot of black slave owners. Yeah, that too. As Honorable pointed out to me months ago, she was like, most of them were mulatto or mixed, but there were some of them that weren't, but majority of them, as I've looked, were considered mulatto, who were given these slaves by their fathers, typically, who were obviously white slave owners. But yeah, South Carolina, a lot of history there as I look. And how it's viewed now, South Carolina, and how it was back then. It's so crazy how each era, there's a different state that's the big dog, or at least the New York, the California. Now the Atlanta, Georgia is the center for Black America. It's just crazy how that shifts throughout the decades. But anyway, let me show this clip of Candace.
And Miss Beryl, by the way, I see Vice President Harris on the box, and I sit up straight and I think, my God, she looks so much like Miss Beryl. Her facial features, the only thing is Miss Beryl was much smaller in stature, but
well, okay, if Miss Beryl, because Kamala is very fair-skinned.
Right.
Was Beryl fair-skinned?
Yes, she was.
She was?
She was. She was fair-skinned.
She was? Okay.
Yes, she was very fair-skinned.
Oh.
With black hair.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
You can see this woman's face. This woman here, I think her name is, I can't remember her name, but she's going to say her name in the video. Her facial expression as she kept talking went further and further into, oh, shit.
So she was so fair-skinned that now that I'm older and I can spot people by their skin coloring, etc., for me, I would say there was something Irish there.
How interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say.
That's exactly what Judge Joe Brown said when he, when he said that Donald Harris told him that he was Irish and Hindu. So yeah, Virginia says the irony of blaming the white men only to find out some of them were black folks passing as white, aka mulattoes. Yeah, that was supposed to be the protected the class in between the two. Same thing with they were her property. What do they call it? Daughters of the slave trade. Candace finally revealed her Caribbean bias. Something about her grandmother is the reason why. Yes, ever since the Joe Budden interview where she heavily leaned on her grandfather being a sharecropper, and it's clear that he was Black American. She keeps mentioning him. So she's clearly trying to find some way to root herself in Black Americanism, but she's already let the cat out the bag years ago when she mentioned she was Caribbean. So I didn't see her come out the bag with her bias, so I didn't watch the whole thing, so I don't know what she said, but yeah, not surprised. Mark Gordon says, I was wrong. There were East Indian slaves. They were not, they weren't, okay. All right. So they were indentured servants, or it wasn't that. So yeah, it had to be indentured servants. Honorable says, Kamala's father prided himself on his Irish heritage. Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, she would have had ancestors that were Irish. Yes.
Actually, can I show you a photograph?
Of course.
Of an old lady.
Yes.
And some people speculate that this is Miss Beryl.
Right.
So, sorry, bear
That's
with me.
okay.
I am so untechnological.
Okay.
It's just pathetic.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Nah, that's not Miss Beryl.
That's not Miss Beryl.
That's definitely not Miss Beryl.
Okay.
That's not Miss Beryl.
So,
and
that means you have to just show.
Yeah.
So,
that is not Miss Beryl.
That's not Miss Beryl.
Definitely not Miss Beryl.
Okay.
And I know what she looks like. I couldn't have been in a dream, and she definitely did not look like that.
There's another person, but could that be Miss Beryl?
No, that's not
That's
Miss
not
Beryl.
Miss Beryl
That's
either.
not Miss Beryl either.
Okay.
Don't know who that is.
Okay.
That's not Miss Beryl. That ain't Miss Beryl. You know, as you were describing the fair skin and looking like Kamala, I was thinking this can't be the Miss Beryl grandma that's in Kamala's book. And clearly you see Lady C's going, wait, fair skin? What, maybe is this? Nope, that's not Miss Beryl. I didn't dream. That's not Miss Beryl. Yeah, that sounds about right. You're saying Irish. And that's funny because Judge Joe Brown had a very distinct memory that Donald Harris told him that he was Irish and Hindu. And things are starting to add up, not in Kamala Harris's favor. And I don't know what to say here, ladies and gentlemen, other than I am truly, untypically speechless.
Regina said, Duke, you mind if the chat names at least one or two other go-to podcasts, Urban X? No, I don't say what you go ahead. Urban X and Real Niggas for me. Yeah, everybody, I don't mind. But another thing she said in this episode that she seemed to be shocked at, she said that she said that Obama's nanny in Indonesia, when he was with his stepfather or whatever, or I don't know, father-in-law, stepfather, said that his nanny in Indonesia was a transgender. Then she pointed out weeks ago, because before she got on Kamala Harris' ass, she was on Macron ass, the president of France, and found out, or at least pushed, that his wife is actually, a man. So she was saying how these two and a lot of these people are kind of connected in their upbringing, where they have these strange upbringings that's hard to find out who they are. Things are not archived correctly, or seemingly some things were deleted. She's saying that she believes her parents, or at least her father and her uncle, were working for the government, deep government ties. That's why they was quiet and very selective with the information they gave out to the public. And then she kind of implied that she believed there's some sort of program that exists, which is basically MK Ultra, where they put these children through certain things because they have a future to do a particular thing, whether it be a president, whether it be some type of maturing candidate thing to end something or build something or push forward some other agenda. So very strange, very strange. It's funny how we've known about Obama publicly since 2004, 5, 6. No, I would say 6, 7. He's began to become public. Not everybody, but just on a local Chicago level to the national level. And we're still finding out stuff about this dude's life. It's just crazy. All right, Honorable says, Candace really trying to string us along with this witch hunt. She was thinking we're about to tune in for 30-minute updates on nothing. Kamala ain't black, case closed. Yeah, I do think she's kind of leaking it out slowly, giving you little drips to something we already came to a conclusion on. Brady says, it's hard to yell when your barrel's in your mouth. Honorable says, what's real niggas? Naggers, I'm sorry. Honorable, she believes leaders are being bred. Yeah. Virginia says, so is all this about Obama, Kamala, a political doppelganger trickery or some shit? Yeah, it's a lot of weird stuff going on with politics. That's what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about the Iranian Ruby, that's, the Holy Sphere, or Lance, with all this religious and mysticism and, the esoteric stuff they believe in at the top, man. You'll be surprised the stuff they push. The stuff some of these kids grew up on. I mean, when I say these politicians, these politicians, when they was a kid, the stuff they saw and went through, would be surprised. She pointed out that one of the justices, I forgot his name, was a part of a sex cult growing up. So, yeah. But it says, Karen Behringer in the name of his podcast, do you have one to recommend? Honorable says, there is no Obama without Michelle. Kamala carrying a Jew. Marrying a Jew is a major misstep. Well, yeah. I think they really, and I'm being honest right here, they knew that it was less likely for black men and black women to vote for Obama with a white woman than for Kamala Harris with a white man. I think they knew that Kamala, regardless of who she married, if she was actually a black woman, she would always have more support because it's not the same critique at a certain level. If Obama was a white woman, he don't even make it at all. Like, it's just like he stopped immediately. But Kamala, she thought she can get away with it because she thought she would have the upper crust black female support, the sorority members and all that other stuff. So, yeah. Brilliant said, wicked. Somebody says Obama is Barry Soto. Yeah, Barry Soto, even though a lot of people assume that man they say is his father, the Kenyan man isn't really his father. Now we find out he got a nanny that was transgender. Indonesia, lived in Hawaii. There's a lot going on with Obama. We can skip that. We already talked about that. Kamala getting 8 million views versus Trump getting 3 million. I think that's because they wanted to see her get asked tough questions, which I'm about to show some of them now. Let me show this.
You call Donald Trump, he's misguided. You say now
He's
unstable.
He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Virginia says Kamala Oakland to Canada, back to HBCU over Willie Brown, Montel, then to Emhoff, her Jewish handler, for this positioning. A lot going on with her. And I've heard a lot of theories obviously about her parents. Were they her real parents? Was she adopted? Was she, it's like going on. Anna says, I haven't been on the podcast vibe for months. Joe Budden falling off, but I watch the Cam and Meech sports show every day. Breen says, if her husband looked like Morris Chestnut, she'd be president right now. If her husband was just, he could be light as possible, dark as possible. If he was black, I think it'll be a lot more support for her. I think the problem is, like everybody pointing out, Michelle Obama, she rooted Obama in blackness. Regardless of what we thought about him, she was black, and then we saw the kids. So what we knew then, politically, what we didn't understand then, was that's what it was about, was to make him look a certain way. The same reason why they made sure to release a book right before they run for big office, so that they can have these bullshit facts be used to support a lot of the stuff they want to push on their. I'm saying her and Willie Brown's story is so embarrassing. Somebody pointed out, they said Kamala didn't think about the man, his wife and kids when she was laying up with him. I said, damn. I don't know. I heard Cameron Mace is pretty good. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What's this one?
Exhausted of Brett.
More than
people
70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
But
people
you're the
have
lever of
become.
power.
But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are.
So she didn't really get to the question. So I ain't gonna show the whole interview. I don't think this was a good decision by her to do this interview, but I don't think it changed anything. The people who weren't going to vote for her aren't, and the people who are still are. But it wasn't a good look. Breen says, Montel Williams said, "You better not say my name." Honorable says, if she was with Morris Chestnut, she would probably be in the same position. Honestly, she a mutt and not of our ethnicity. I'm not helping the Jamaican get to the highest office of this land. You know what, Honorable, you might be right, because the political discussion is much different. We're not just talking about race. Is she black? We would also point out she's not black American. So she might get a little more support, but you might be right. What up, Dre? VPs don't do anything. Political rabbit holes, especially if you follow the power base of Marxism, communism, then capitalism, you see the partners and learn the majority of the presidents are related, same bloodline. Didn't Judge Joe Brown just say that who's cousins? I don't forgot. He said somebody was cousins. I forgot. Virginia, this show is really entertaining. I feel like I'm watching my cousin debate topic. You talking about Mason Cam? Where he says SNL skits are hilarious as of late. You see how they did Kamala? Had her going a whole rant about nothing, and then finally answered the question where she got a Glock. Tommy said, "Can you unblock my friend Frankie, please?" Frankie. Okay, we didn't block nobody. I checked, but I don't remember blocking nobody. Dre said, Morris Chestnut not black American? No, I think he is. I think he is. Then it says facts, but Dick Cheney ran the country under Bush. Sorry, hold on. All right. What's this?
When you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for
I'm gonna check it, Tommy. I'm gonna check it.
Universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago.
So now she's trying to distance herself from something she supported 5 years ago. Oh, okay.
And I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again. And as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
Oh, no, we were making the argument that if Dre, he said, okay, why did Arnold bring him up? We were making the argument that if Kamala Harris had somebody like Morris Chestnut as her husband, she would have more support from black people. Margot says, Empress, very true. He was an exception.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law.
She's saying the same thing. Anima says, wait, so my phone died earlier. Do y'all think her missing that church meeting will be credited when she loses the not black man? That's not as big a topic in certain realms, and others obviously is more talked about, certain parts of the internet or political discussion. Her not going to that church thing when Trump was roasting them, I think I saw somebody say they think that was her way of standing with the abortion rights thing by not going. So she didn't come out and denounce it or speak against it. She just didn't go. I think that might hurt her down the line, but we'll see. All right, what I got left? I already showed that.
Tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question.
That's the immigration question. We went through that already.
Talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it.
But having the Democrats been kind of going at people for saying the election was stolen. I remember when Bush won, when he beat what's his name, Al Gore. I think it was Bush, yeah, Al Gore. Everybody named Mama said that election was stolen. It was like everybody said it, and then when nobody was called nobody was criminalized for it. Nobody was threatened to lose a job or kicked off when we didn't have it wasn't no social media back then. But still, now if you say an election was rigged or some bull stuff happened, it's almost a crime now. Your accounts can be stolen or taken from you off social media. You can it's ramifications for it. Your bank. Virginia says his facial is bitch please. You sound like you're foolish. All right, and this was what she said right after that interview with Fox News, and her energy kind of changed. Anna says, and scene. She was really raising her voice. The sister girl character is cringe. I think this right here, like I said, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but in politics, you have to carry yourself a certain way based off of your gender. Women, when they yell, it doesn't do well with pollsters, or it doesn't do well with the with people when a woman yells, because it's not viewed as her being strong, it's viewed as her being naggy. I'm not saying it's right, but it is what it is. So I don't think these type of moments are going to be good for her.
Should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again. Never again. Never again.
Brian said, Stacey Abrams refused her loss too. And exactly. She refused her loss. It was very unbecoming of her to go about it that way. But she refused her loss for as long as she could. She called it out, said it was a theft that happened. I don't even think to this day she's acknowledged that she lost yet. But nobody accuses her of putting doubt into the election. Dre said in 2020, the election votes were poorly stolen too. The lawsuits happened and $1 billion was won, so we can't say that. Virginia says, facts, dude. That's one reason it's pointless arguing politics, because they're the same on both sides and the people act like they can't see it. She sounds like a drunk, and I keep trying to find reasons to respect her, but it comes off as scripted and fake, the whole thing. Yeah, she's very good. She's very bad at selling an emotion or a feeling or getting people to get behind her, which don't make sense, because I feel like if you've made it to this far, you should just be better at being a people's person. Like, it's crazy. Anonymous says, when talking to white men, they say women should lean into making our voices deeper, not raising it like that. Yeah, it turns into a screech, and you don't want that. But then in this era, you don't want to go too deep because allegations come from the other side that, oh, is that a woman? Anonymous says, why don't people dress like that? Who you talking about? Oh, the thumbnail. Well, it didn't come out as the way I wanted it to come out. That the theme was based off of that Republican dude saying it's the house Negro versus the field Negro, but it didn't come out quite the way I wanted. But it was a crunch, so I just had to use it. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna let y'all get up out of here. Kept y'all long enough. We talked about the politics and all the other stuff, the mysticism, the esoteric stuff that's going on, or allegedly, whether you believe it or not. Do you believe that Iran has a ruby that will be used that's stronger than a nuclear bomb? I don't know. Brady says, Madam President has a Martin Big Mama type of vibe. Adam says, they work with their hands like Sir Hush. All right, man. Thank y'all for coming through. Appreciate the support. Be sure to stay safe as always. Stay cool as possible. Virginia says, good show as typical do. Have a strong end. Everyone has a week one till you start again on Monday. Really appreciate the support, y'all. Be sure to subscribe if you're not. Be sure to like it on your way out and share it if you can. And as always, man, y'all he always said it, zip it up and zip it out. Shout out, brilliant, man. Y'all hit the likes, as Keefer said. And as always, man, y'all be safe. All praise to the Most High. And peace, man.